What's up, guys? How you doing? This is Brother Micah, just here with another video. And I want to talk to you guys. And if you've seen the thumbnail, I'm sure you see Jesus said life is not about more. We're going to be talking about Luke, the 12th chapter, verses 13 through 20. And I pray that you're blessed by this video. So basically, we have a scene where it says Jesus is out, and it says, "And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak unto my brother, that he divide the inheritance with me. And he said unto him, Man, who hath made me a judge or a divider over you? And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth." So I wanted to kind of give you guys that kind of intro, a little food for thought of what brought about this next parable that we're going to go over. So Jesus had been teaching the kingdom, sharing the word, and then this man comes to him and he's like, Master, like Jesus, make my brother give me the other half of the inheritance. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever been through this. I've lost my grandparents as well as my mother and father. And when a parent dies, there is usually a will and an inheritance or something they leave behind. Maybe you could be left out of a will by some parents or some grandparents. You may be included in the will. Sometimes when there is no will or there's no document showing, what the parents' wishes were, you have to go to probate. And sometimes, people will take it upon themselves to just take possessions of things, just take everything or take the things of value. I've heard stories, horror stories, and I've actually experienced some myself. So I say that because obviously for this fella, he was really bent out of shape at the fact that he wanted his brother to give him a portion of whatever inheritance he felt due. And Jesus, being a righteous teacher and going about doing all he was doing, he felt that like, I need Jesus to tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. Give me half. I want mine. But Jesus told him, he said, who made me a judge or a divider over you? He didn't come for that purpose. He came to preach the kingdom of God. He came not to bring peace with a sword. And that sword wasn't to divide people's physical possessions or to be worried about those frivolous things. Christ was more concerned with them doing the will of the Father and him fulfilling the mission that God had for him to do, to save that which was lost and to restore the lost sheep of Israel. So he told him, he said, look, take heed, beware of covetousness, y'all. A man's life don't consist of everything you own. You know what I mean? Just because you would possess a lot of stuff, that's not what a man's life consists of. And some people feel that way. It's like, if I have a lot of things and if I have, great possession, some might feel, well, that just means God's blessed. But we need to understand that the devil gives stuff too. We saw when Jesus was being tempted on the mountain, he said, all these kingdoms right here in the glory of it, I'll give you if you bow down and worship me. Yes, there are gifts that can come from God. It's not a sin if God blesses you. Paul wrote, he said, tell them that are rich in this life, that they be quick to distribute, willing to communicate. They should do good with their money. So there's nothing wrong if God bless you with it. However, the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money itself, the love of it. And when people are covetous, they're willing to kill, they get jealous, they can't celebrate other people's victories or wins. So Christ was warning them of that. He said, look, beware of covetousness, because obviously this brother was more worried about the possessions than that pearl of great price that Christ was trying to show him through the word. So after he told him that a man's life doesn't consist of these things, you're much more. He told him in verse 16, or all of the group at this point, it says, and he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do, because I have no room to bestow my fruits? And he said, this will I do. I'll pull down my barns and build greater. And there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. So he began to give him a parable of a fella who life was going good. Not only was it going good, life went real good. Like, dude had plenty, and he had so much that even more began to come. I mean, the ground brought forth plentifully, where this guy says, you know what? Man, I got all this stuff. What should I do with all this stuff? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to tear down that old barn. I'm going to get rid of the stuff that I have that's been sustaining me so far. I'm going to build even bigger. And when I build bigger, I'm going to fill it all the way up. And then I'm going to tell my soul, you ain't got to work another day in your life. Eat, drink, be merry, just chill, enjoy life. This man was not concerned with his neighbor. He was not concerned with fellow men. He was not concerned with others. He became his own concern upon himself. And it was all about him and his abundance of what he possessed. And he felt like, I got time to enjoy life and live it up in big ball. And I'm not going to worry about nobody else. I'm just going to tell my soul, relax and do nothing. In verse 20, it says, but God said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then who shall those things be which thou hast provided? So is he that layeth up treasure for himself and is not rich towards God. So Christ had to break it down to them like, the man thought he had it going on. He's going to do all these things. He's going to live this long life with all his wealth and prosper. And God said, thou fool, your soul going to be required tonight. It could be gone in an instant. You could get a bad prognosis from the doctor. You could be in a car wreck. Somebody could try to rob you for it. You can get shot. You can get trampled. You could be going to a concert or a game or something. A building could collapse. Anything can happen. Life is very fragile. And we don't want to take for granted getting rich in this life, chasing after things in this life, obtaining the things of this world, and not being rich towards God, not being rich towards him in heaven, not being obedient to what God requires according to the scriptures. So we should all take warning from the story of this rich man and from this parable that Christ gave. That if God blesses you, it is indeed for you to be a blessing to others, to be rich towards God. What did Jesus say when we look? I believe it was Matthew 25, when there were those who were on his right and his left. He said, when I was naked, you clothed me. I was hungry, you fed me. I was sick and in prison, you came to see about me. You see what I'm saying? You took care of me in my time of need. And they said, Lord, when did we see you hungry? When did we see you thirsty? When did we do these things? He said, as much as you did it to the least of these, my brethren, you did it unto me. And then he told the other ones on his left, like, you cursed, it's an everlasting fire. You know, when I was hungry, you didn't feed me. When I was sick, you didn't visit. You didn't try to care for me. You didn't clothe me when I was naked. You didn't try to help me. And they're like, when did we see you in that condition, Jesus? He said, as much as you didn't do it to the least of these, you didn't do it to me. So what we find there is juxtaposed to those who did right by him, there were those who did wrong, that did nothing. They had the possessions or had it because he said, I was hungry, you didn't feed me. I was sick, you didn't visit me. So they had the ability or the money or whatever was needed to do these things, just like the ones on his right hand did. However, when he separated them sheep and them goats, they fell in the latter lot that didn't do those things. My Lord. So I say all that to say, anybody who is laying up treasure for themselves and not rich towards God can have the same fate that this man had according to scriptures. We need to make sure that if God has blessed us, that we're becoming a blessing unto others. And the Bible tells us to do good unto all men, especially to those of the household of the faith. Because some people kind of limit their love to what I'm going to do for my family, I'm going to do for my kids, I'm going to do for my peoples. Christ even told them in one part, he said, hey, listen, don't invite people over to come eat dinner with you. They can turn around and invite you to their house later. You can eat with them. Invite the ones who can't pay you back. Help the ones who can't help and do further. Those are the ones you should be giving and helping to. And especially for the widows and the orphans. Somebody you know that's growing up, maybe they lost their husband and they're going through and they have children, by all means. And if there's orphans or those that don't have parents, maybe they're being raised with their grandparents, and you see the grandparents are up in age, retired, unable to help get the kids some of the things they need for school or to play on the team or do these things. Help those that are less fortunate, they can't pay you back. And God will bless you. Don't feel like you're losing nothing. You want to be rich towards God so that you hear, well done, my good and faithful servant in the end. But I wanted to share that story with you guys. Jesus lets us know life is not about more. It's not about what we have and these things we own. It's about what we do in him. So for reference, read Luke the 12th chapter, 13 through 20. And you don't want to end up like that gentleman there. All right, guys, thank you for watching. This is Brother Micah. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and you can leave comments what you think about the parable of what Jesus said. I'd love to hear and read about it later. All right, thank you. Have a good day.